Good morning, Warriors! If you know the game, you can't be played. My name is Coach JV. I am the top health and mindset coach in the world. What you believe in your heart, you think in your mind, will eventually become your words and become your reality. Now, I'm the guy that's bringing you information so that you understand that preemptive programming is real. That since we were itty bitty babies, there was information being put into our subconscious mind, and what you repeatedly put into your subconscious mind becomes an unconscious activity. So the very things you're experiencing within your physical reality have been preemptive programming into you since you were a young child. And now when you break free from that matrix, or whatever you want to call it, and you understand that there's a game happening, you can actually play the game. Now, why is that important? Because Warriors, within the next 10 days, you're going to see more changes in America and world history than you've ever seen. I believe that we are in biblical type times. Do I think that the rapture's coming and it's going to wipe out the world? No, but I think we're in a metaphysical or metaphorical change within human construct of how we think, walk, talk, act, and interact. And it's really important. So why is it important for me to share this information with you guys? I'm giving you information to get you to critically think. Then also I'm talking about the new infrastructure of the quantum financial system. I teach my warriors exactly what I'm doing and how I'm managing the quantum financial system. Now, I used to be in banking. I was at a high level position in banking. I understand the banking system, and we cannot continue with the old archaic system into the new future. But, Warriors, they slowly and methodically program your mind so that when the information comes out and the changes come out, you're used to it and ready, and it's not a shock. So as a pandemic happens this way, there's a whole new narrative happening this way. And there's a whole new group of millionaires and billionaires being created, and it's called the biggest shift in generational wealth. Now, this morning, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys preemptive programming and how they get you ready and how they use stars and media and people that you can relate to shift your mind. All they have to do is get one person that you can relate to shift your mindset, and all of a sudden, you're hook, line, and sinker, ready to go. Okay, Warriors, that's how they do it. Okay, so let's jump right into it. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So we're going to watch something really quickly. We're going to watch Space Force first. So this is Mike Pence 3 weeks ago, December 18th, 2020, talking about Space Force. Then this is going to be a longer video. I need you to, if you're a warrior, when you get to the end, okay, comment down below warrior, okay, because warriors will stick through this. Attention span's 5 seconds. They know that, so you have to practice getting through these videos, okay? So we're going to have Mike Pence talking about Space Force, and then I'm going to take you to the World Economic Forum. Remember, you have to know the World Economic Forum, January 10th, 2021, this year. I'm going to go to the documentary Game Changers, and I'm going to take you back to the same World Economic Forum, fast forwarding to the frontier of technologies, okay? This is important. This is how I do my investments based on preemptive programming, okay? So we're going to watch Space Force, and I'm going to go back and forth. Stay with me.
Anniversary of that branch of our armed forces that will ensure for generations that America remains as dominant in space as we are on land and sea and air. Welcome to the first anniversary of the United States Space Force. It is my honor, on behalf of the President of the United States, to announce that henceforth, the men and women of the United States Space Force will be known as Guardians.
Okay, look at the symbol in the background and be known as Guardians. Guardians of the Galaxy, right? Preemptive programming.
Space race began in the 1950s and it continues today. And in President Donald Trump, we have a commander-in-chief who's understood clearly that space is a warfighting domain. It's imperative that we invest the resources and the personnel and the technology to defend our nation and defend our values in the outer reaches of space.
Okay, think about that for just a moment. How crazy does that sound to you? But you've been watching things like Star Wars, right? All these movies that are preemptive programming you, getting you ready for this. So when it does happen, it will be normalized to you. This is real, guys. This is Space Force. How weird is that? Think about 10 years ago. Did you ever think there would be a Space Force?
We're leading in space. But our determination under this president and with his extraordinary military leadership is to stay in the lead to defend America and defend our freedom from space. So happy birthday to the United States.
Okay, so there's the Space Force, right? Did you ever think, but you're focused on a pandemic this way, you're not paying attention to what's happening this way, and we're investing in new infrastructure of our new world, okay? Now, this is the World Economic Forum, fast forwarding to Frontier Technologies Sustainable Development Summit of 2020. Remember, they're moving you to zero carbon by 2050. We are investing in the new future infrastructure of our society, warriors. Now, listen to the words that they say. We got Space Force, and now listen to what they're talking about.
Technology. So can you tell us more about the role of space technology in climate action, Simonetta?
Yeah, so for sure, in a nutshell, what I can say is that in the last 60 years, which is the time that we measured since the launch of the first satellite in orbit, in reality, space has become a sort of a game changer in many fields. And
boom, game changer. Think about, just remember that word, game changer. Mike Pence 50 years ago.
Our everyday life, in the way in which we can address global challenges, including climate change, is an extremely powerful tool. And in reality, space really contributes to our understanding of the planet, but in particular is also able to allow us to monitor the situation, and not only in climate change, but for a lot of different in a lot of different fields. Well, recently, more or less a couple of years ago, we conducted a study combining Earth observation data and in global navigation satellite systems, so precise navigation and location. And we found that we analyzed the 169 targets underpinning the 17 Sustainable Development Goals, which are, let's say, the backbone of the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development, and in a very conservative manner. So we have
okay, so that's key. They keep talking about 2030. The next 10 years of your life, your whole world is going to change, warriors. So we're in the era right now of problem, reaction, solution. So that's why I keep saying the next 10 days, you're going to see the biggest changes in America, dramatic changes, right? It's going to get really hairy in 2021 because they have about 10 years to switch us to this new quantum financial system, to a new infrastructure of your finances, how you think, how you walk, how you talk, okay? So that shows you right there. There's Space Force, and then she's talking about the satellite technology, okay? Now let's see the other preemptive programming, okay? You got Gardens of the Galaxy, right? You got Space Force. You got the World Economic Forum talking about it. Now, how do you get a bunch of people to move into veganism, engineered food, right? You know how many vegan documentaries there are, but all of a sudden, a documentary explodes on the scene. Trailer was around July 2019, and then September 2019, this documentary explodes using a world icon, Arnold Schwarzenegger. The producers of this movie were Arnold Schwarzenegger, James Cameron, and Jackie Chan. Think about that. Who produced this? And it exploded. Interesting. But they're using icons, athletes. So look at the people they use in here. Because were they going to have some hippie vegan like me? Am I going to get you guys to change? Am I going to get all the guys watching the 49ers and the Raiders and all these sports teams? Am I going to get those people to change? Absolutely not. Am I going to get bodybuilders to change? Absolutely not. You use the stars to preemptive program all the meatheads that they call us, right? The bodybuilders, the meatheads, the sports teams, the guys sitting at the bar watching football. Oh, if Arnold does it, I'll do it. Now watch this. Listen.
One and only Arnold Schwarzenegger.
I ate a lot of meat. They showed us commercials.
Steak. That's what a man eats.
Selling that idea that real men eat meat.
Serious man food.
But you got to understand, that's marketing. That's not based on reality.
That's not marketing based on reality when that's all he ate as a bodybuilder?
Teaching fighting techniques to government agencies for more than 15 years. Then I got injured, unable to teach for at least 6 months. I spent more than 1,000 hours studying science on recovery and nutrition, and stumbled across a study about the Roman gladiators.
The gladiators were
Fighters, gladiators. Oh, if I could be a fighter and a gladiator?
predominantly vegetarian.
How could the original professional fighters be so powerful, eating only plants?
When I made the switch to a plant-based diet, I qualified for my 3rd Olympic team. I broke 2 American records. I was like, man, I should have done this a long while ago.
Executive producers, James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jackie Chan. For some reason, this documentary, vegan documentary, exploded.
I went plant-based. I wasn't sure if I was going to survive. And I actually became like a machine.
One of the biggest misconceptions in sports nutrition is that we have to have animal
Boom, you see the rings preemptive program. Look, and you get these rings if you start eating vegan.
protein to perform at a high level. That's just not true.
Sometimes you have to do things that you know your competitors aren't doing.
Today's blood and yesterday's blood. So,
I think this is going to wake a lot of people up. I was recovering better.
Oh, look at it.
Not
Hit it
hitting
right
a
here.
sword.
Boom. Okay, so now we're going to get to the football players, the football fans.
This is our
So
best
we got fighters, we got Olympic athletes, now football
season in
fans.
the last 15 years, and we had 14 guys on plant-based
Look at
diet.
the lifestyle. You want that lifestyle? Let's go.
We all want to feel great, have more energy. Cholesterol was 277.
Oh, we got the football players. We got the fighters. Now let's get the American, the men, right? We respect our firefighters, our men in blue, right? Here we go.
Today, 169.
Whoa, now you're talking. Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
It's not one set of dietary guidelines for improving your performance as an athlete, another one for reversing heart disease, reversing diabetes. It's the same for all of them.
Someone asked me, how could you get as strong as an ox without eating any meat? And my answer was, have you ever seen an ox eating meat?
Okay, the game changers. Did you hear what she said? The game changers. Space Force, connecting space, okay? Now, let's go to another part of this World Economic Forum. So you got game changers, you got the athletes, you got the bodybuilders, preemptive programming, getting ready. Now Burger King has the Beyond Burger. We have all this engineered food within the stores. Warriors, you are investing in the new infrastructure of the preemptive programming.
Lisa. And Lisa, we would love to understand more about this fascinating process that you're working on. Can you tell us more? What I wanted to underline is that the next technologies, whether it's Lisa or Danielle that are going to talk about is that they're both going to talk about something related to food, and there's really no more fundamental need than food, and that's not about to go away or change. So these next two frontier technologies we're going to talk about are very important. The floor is yours, Lisa.
Thank you. Yes, so we call what we do a probiotic production process because it's similar to making yogurt or brewing beer or making cheese. And so what we start off with is elements of the air that we breathe, carbon dioxide and oxygen. And then we're able to use this probiotic production process to make a really nutritious protein. And the work that we're doing is inspired by work done by NASA during the space program during the 60s and 70s, where they asked a question, how can we feed astronauts on long
We're conducting space, food,
space journeys to Mars and distant planets?
Mars.
And that's the same question as how do you recycle carbon, essentially, because we're a carbon-based life form and we get our carbon through our food and we need carbon to survive. And once you leave the planet with a certain amount of carbon, you can't pick up any more along the way. So you have to figure out how to recycle it. And they were really thinking about astronauts are breathing out carbon dioxide. How can we capture that and then use that as an input to the food that they're eating? And so we've developed this way of using something, again, like making yogurt that has carbon dioxide as a core feedstock, a core building block, and oxygen and other elements of the air. We use renewable power as well to ultimately create a protein flour. And that protein flour then can be turned into meat using culinary techniques like temperature and pressure. Think of making pasta from wheat flour. Similar type of concept, but we're really focused on creating the textures that you get when you're biting into a steak or a chicken breast, as well as the flavors that you get. And so we're a part of a movement. So veggie burgers and veggie foods have been around for a long time, and I myself started eating them.
Right there. Veggie foods and veggie burgers have been around for a long time. Vegan documentaries have been around for a long time. Why on earth did Game Changers Explode, produced by James Cameron, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Jackie Chan in 2019, right before we go into a pandemic, right before we go into the global reset, before we go into Space Force? Warriors, wake up.
2 decades ago, and really when I converted to become a vegetarian. But the question is, how do you appeal to the broader populations out there that
Boom! How do you appeal to the broader populations? Preemptive programming.
love pork, that love steak, and they're really not changing their habits. They don't want to. It's very difficult for them to. And so I'm one of the group of companies that are really looking at how do you then define meat in a more broad way, define it as what you end up with on the plate versus what it comes from. Define it as the textures and flavors that you're used to and that you love versus, in the case of steak, taking 2 years to make that steak. So right now, the current technology that we use to make steak takes 2 years and lots of land, lots of water, and lots of greenhouse gases are emitted along the way. So it's very
Boom. They're going to wipe out the meat and dairy industry. I've been telling you guys this. The whole middle class is going to get wiped out. American infrastructure is going to change dramatically, Warriors. Preemptive programming. How do you do it? You do it through a documentary called Game Changers, produced by people within the movie industry, right? Preemptive programming. You develop a space force. Warriors, it's time to wake up, Warriors. We are in the biggest awakening in world history, in our history ever. These are biblical times in regards to the metaphysical mindset, Warriors. You've been preemptive programming. It's time to wake up, Warriors. This is how my brain works. This is how the thinking inside my brain works. I reverse engineer everything. I had a great awakening while I was in the banking system when I realized that we were just printing money, quantitative easing, and I realized there was a bigger game being played, Warriors. And when I figured out the game, I could not be played. So I'm here to help you guys. So I'm going to do a video like this to get you to critically think, and then I'm going to do one around based on cryptocurrencies that I'm invested in and helping you understand the infrastructure and understand this new system, right? It's like speaking a whole different language, but I'm here to help you, Warriors. If you want to join my Warrior Academy, click the link down below. You can join a group of over 400, coming up on 500 Warriors globally, 9 different countries. Cryptocurrency call every single Thursday with my technical analysis team and going over my portfolio. I'm not a financial advisor. None of it's financial advice. I'm just documenting my journey into the quantum financial system. A Discord of people much smarter than me, over 300 Warriors worldwide. You also go through my 120-day challenge so we regain our mind, body, and immunity. And also you have access to my team for questions as you manage into the new quantum financial system and also health and mindset. If you want to join the Warrior Academy, click the link down below. If not, there's a free Facebook group, and we'll get ready to rock and roll. As we always say, if you know the game, you can't be played. Warriors, rise! Let's go.